Hi everyone, it's me Jojo, and today's filter inspired makeup is all about beard, brows and widening the features. This has been a super popular filter that I've been seeing so many people use, and basically my tutorial today is going to give you the actual cheats, how you can make your brows thicker, how you can make your beard thicker, how to make the sculptural facets of your face look a little bit wider, so when you've got those gorgeous jaw bones popping, it's going to look fantastic. I actually do this look quite a lot. It's one of my favorite things to do for my, I would say, quote unquote, natural look, even though we were going with the full sculpting. It's one of the ones that I've really enjoyed, especially this year, because it allows me to just play with my look. And when I'm going through loads of hair removal, when I'm actually reducing my facial hair, I can build up the patches that have been lasered off. It's going to include all the fabulous things, including the base, the sculpting, the beard enhancement, the brow enhancement, and give you that smoky eye that's in the filter. Please enjoy. So I'm going in with my second tutorial, which is actually all about the opposite of my first. Instead of calling it a male to female look, which is how I would define my looks back in the day, this is actually going to be a female to male look, which is the opposite. I'm in a grey area, so I have to paint on either version of myself and change slightly the placement of everything. So when I'm doing this look, I want the NYX foundation I'm using, and this is that gorgeous Ready Wear It All Day foundation they do. I'm using a couple of colours, as you can see, but I'm buffing it into the skin, which is something I will do if I have a beard. If I'm worried about the facial hair showing through the makeup, I won't buff. I'll use sponges and I'll try and push it and press it into the skin. If I've got facial hair, there's nothing I can do to disguise it, and I'm actually going to enhance it. So it's opposite to the actual before tutorial, which is all about feminizing and making the bone structure look almost more fluffy and rounder. This is about painting in a bone structure, and I'm using a colour that's the same tone as my skin, but just a little bit darker, because then I can really shade the jawline, I can shade the cheekbones going into the jawline, and I can shade around the temples. And there's a very clever point on my face which just changes my entire aesthetic, and it's above my eyebrows. These are things that are called secondary sexual characteristics. So basically, when we go through puberty, we either go through one development, which makes everything look less rounded, more leaner, the fat pads change, you have more cartilage, which just happens in men. And in women, the face becomes more fluffy and full of fat and a little bit softer, and the distances between each feature is actually smaller. I'm trying to cheat the eye into thinking that I've got more of a narrow face that's got a very distinctive bone structure. And I do have bone structure. So it's more so placing it on the points that will actually bring that out even further. Again, I'm buffing because as much as I want to cover the dark circles, I'm actually using their gorgeous NYX concealer. What I really want to do is just make sure the skin still has a texture to it, like skin, because when you're doing a boyish look, for me, I don't want it to look like I've got much on my skin. I want it to almost look like those Marlon Brando sort of Hollywood films where there was something, but what was it? You couldn't really distinguish. It's just that golden, almost too golden moment, which I think is so classic male film style, which is where I get my inspirations from. Now, I'm using actually the loose powder by NYX just to set this through, because I tend to get a little bit of a reaction throughout the day as I wear foundation. You want it to stay on, you don't want it to look too heavy, so I'm using the tiniest amount and really dragging it across the face with this big fluffy brush. It's not actually as dense as you can imagine, because I don't want to put a lay down of product. I'm using something that's more sort of a, how can I describe it? It's more like a disparate proportion of the gorgeous bristles. So with the face foundation powder, this is slightly different because it gives a coverage and colour. I'm really trying to elongate the spaces between my cheekbone and then my jawline. So what I'm doing is I'm almost doing the opposite of what I do with a feminine look. And instead of highlighting the middle of the face, I'm actually making it look a little bit more bronzed and sun tinted. And I'm going with those contour products, which are really great if you're a young makeup artist from NYX, because they have all, I think, 8 shades in one go. So you can have 4 highlights, 1 that's a shimmer, and then 4 contours, 2 of which are bronze. Slowly building into the face, you can see how I'm using the light shades to actually bring back the sort of narrowness in my nose. And when I'm contouring my nose, I don't go in with 2 dark lines. It's a very primitive and sort of, I guess you would say, crude way to contour the nose. I bring the highlight against the area I want it to be contour. I'm using the skin colour and the contrast of the skin colour to do the work for me. Now, in with the brows, my brows are so sparse. It's so frustrating for me because I try and grow them thicker and thicker and thicker. And I have grey hair, as you can probably tell, not just because it's dyed, like my actual hair went grey in my 20s. So my brows just do not grow. They just do not grow where I want them to. I have to dye them, and it's a travesty, really. But I'm shading in with actually the dry products. So we're actually using some brown eyeshadows from the Gorgeous NYX eyeshadow palette. And I'm using a sponge. It's called a wire sponge. I'm using the dry down of actually that gorgeous ashy colour that I've used just within the brows. Again, on the beard. It fills in the sparse areas in my beard. Now I'm going in with a very skinny brush and the NYX Wear It All Day foundation, but in a very deep shade, something that would be suitable for an Afro-Caribbean skin tone. And I'm using this almost like a liquid paint because I want to give the illusion that my brows are actually lower down. So when you look at a man's face, traditionally, there's not the same amount of space above the eyelid. The brows are fuller because men tend to go for a less groomed approach in the West. And I think that with me, because I have this kind of like upside down brow where my hairs grow down, if I just bring another layer of hairs going up and kind of cross hatch against those natural hairs, it looks quite natural and you can't really clock that it's drawn on. It's almost like cheating as if you were having a microblade. Now, instead of actually using a sort of feminine curve shape, as you can see, I'm actually exploiting the angle of my brow. This will allow me to actually give a little bit more of a extended brow, as you can see, just lifting the arch up and out, and then just using the lowest part of my brow and going across. So it's almost like I'm joining in the different shades that in the brow by just having a line. It's very simple to do with your own brows. I'm adding more complexity with a very skinny brush. I wanted to bring a more ashy colour in, and I think this brush just does the job for me. I'm now going with my hairline. As I said earlier, I've got very pale hair now, and my hair's greyish blonde. So I tend to actually use eyeshadows to conceal my brows, my hair, all the kind of things that you would imagine. And as you can see, it just strengthens that hairline dramatically. Now, again, I think that even when I'm doing a boy look, I want my brows and my lashes to be full, voluptuous, and giving very good flashes of black. So I'm using the black mascara by NYX and actually just working into the roots of the lashes. If I was doing a feminine look, I'd build this up so you could see that there was actually more than just a tint to the lashes. I just want it to look defined. I don't want it to look like big lashes at all. I'm quite happy with the skin in this. I think it actually looks great, but I wanted to add a little bit more depth to the eye because the filter I chose in this look was that beard and like scars look, which has a little bit of like a dramatic smoke around the eye. I think it was inspired by Game of Thrones, so it was my inspo to kind of go with that smoky, cold out, sort of barbarian-esque look. Now, I'm really excited to show a difference between the way I place colour when I'm doing a masculine look versus a feminine look because the outcome is so different. I also want to make sure that you guys can see that you can be anything you want in this day and age. People are speaking about gender in such a different way. I'm just adding some final touches. I'm going around the face and just touching up areas that I want to bring a little bit more shadow to, like under the lip. Sometimes men have a more of a defined W under their lip called a W zone, and that's really important for me to bring back in the look. I also find sometimes when I'm doing a masculine look, I can look very girly with my moustache above my lip because my moustache kind of masks that space. So I don't like to overdraw my lips. I just like to nourish them. And here's the look. Thank you everyone for watching. This was a filter series makeup transformation that NYX were kind enough to send me all the makeup for. This was by Johnny August, who's a fabulous filter creator, and I've seen it so popular on YouTube. You can actually add a scar, you can add some additional extreme facial hair, but for me, it's pretty straightforward. All right guys, hope you enjoy and see you in my next tutorial.